put your cloth onto your book board. The first thing that I want to do is get a little bit of glue. I'm going to use Mod Podge today. You can use other types of glue. You could probably use Elmer's glue for that matter. It'd probably be just fine. But you want to make sure it's going to stick. So you want to put a thin layer of glue onto your book board. And then you want to flip that board over and glue it so you have about, oh, I don't know, an inch around each side. Then we're going to cut the extra off. You don't want to have a whole lot of extra because we're going to glue this to the back side of our board and then cover it with what's called an end sheet. And put glue on my edges. We're also going to do something, it's actually a sewing term that's called mitering the edges. I'm going to pinch it here at these corners. I'm going to pull it tight as it goes around. But I'm going to pinch it at the corners because I'm going to cut that part off so that we don't have any more bulk than we absolutely have to in our bookbinding. But we want it to be neat. We want it to be pulled up tight together. Probably should have trimmed that edge off there. We're going to miter the edges, which means clipping this corner. Then you want to take a piece of construction paper or marbled paper or whatever, and you want to figure out about how big do I need this to be. Now you can measure it, which would be a great idea, or you can make some little cuts. You want to cover most of it. It's really better to measure this and cut it out. It'll look a lot neater, but for time's sake, we're not going to do that. And then I'm going to take my Mod Podge or my white glue, whatever I have handy. I put some more of that on my book board. I hope you'll be familiar with these terms by the time we're all done with it, because remember, vocabulary is just a way of talking about a specific subject and sounding educated about it. It's not a big, ugly, scary term. You use it every day for all sorts of different topics. I'm putting a little bit more on here because I'm trying to seal in my fabric so it's not going to come loose. And then I'm going to carefully put my end sheet, which is what this is called, on here. I'm going to press it in place. And it looks so much neater when you have that end sheet glued on here. After this is when we're going to poke the holes so that we can do our Coptic stitching. But this is what our front cover is going to look like. Now if you have book board, because we are using old books, if you have book board that has something on here that's going to show through, you probably want to cover it with a piece of paper first so that that's not going to change the look of your book, unless you have a really dark fabric and the pattern's not going to show. You can see kind of over here that this blue is showing through, but that doesn't bother me. So that is how to cover your book board with fabric and apply an end sheet.